Hi, good morning, everybody. Welcome to our session today. Thank you for attending. Today, we are very privileged to present with one of our customer, Ally Financial. We have Derek, who's the head of data engineering for auto and insurance at Ally Financial. We'll be sharing the story about the modernization of journey of Ally. And we also have Prashant Jain, who's the Senior Director of Data Engineering at Impetus Technologies. I hope you enjoy the session, and it's got a lot of learnings, a lot of things that Ally Financial will share on their journey. So, Derek, over to you.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming out. Thank you to Gartner for hosting such an amazing event. Thank you to our partners, Impetus, for giving us the opportunity to talk a little bit about Ally and our journey around data engineering and all the amazing things that it's going to lead to. So, wanted to kind of start with who is Ally, right? So we are a full-service digital bank. We are one of the biggest, and we do this day in and day out, and we think we do a pretty good job at it. And so what should you know about Ally? We've had a tremendous growth story for many years, just year over year, excellent growth, excellent opportunities. But I would really focus on our culture. I think it's one of those things that truly sets us apart. We have a saying called do it right, and that means do it right with each other, do it right for our employees. And if we do that, then our employees will take care of our customers and the places where they live and work, and we feel like the rest will take care of itself. And that has worked quite well for us. And some of the accolades at the bottom of the screen also speak to that, and to the fact that Ally is a fantastic place to grow your career, regardless of sector or size of the company. These are awards that we've won over the last several months, and we're quite proud of that. We think it really speaks to the culture that has been built here. If that sounds interesting to you or you want to learn more, link at the bottom right. We'd love to have a chat with you and talk about it all day long. So, one of our core missions was to unleash data and AI to drive real-time insights, self-serve analytics, and deepen customer relationships. That's a huge goal. And one of the things that we realized pretty early on about that goal was for it to be successful, we had to build an extraordinarily strong foundation of data. And what does that look like? So it really starts with creating a single source of truth for all of Ally's data. And we wanted to create that in a way that it was in as real time as the business needs. And that's a nuance that I say because one of the things that we found was that bringing real-time data to our business partners has a cost to it. And it has a cost to it from both an architecture standpoint as well as a true monetary cost. And while we can do it, it was important for us to measure and make sure that we had a use case to be able to basically monetize that cost offset. But one of the things that we also did was in our architecture, we made it very forward-facing so that even though some of our vendors might be batched, maybe they only deliver data once a day, maybe twice a day, right? As this continues to evolve and as all companies around the world start to become more data-focused, maybe they'll start shifting to more real-time data and real-time insights. So one of the things that we did in our architecture was be able to accommodate that with very minimal rework. So even though it's not turned on for everything, having the ability to turn it on quickly was something that we found to be very good in our design. It's got to be centralized, right? Having all your data in one place is important, right? Having to go to all different sources and try to stitch it together is the world that we came from. We had multiple different data warehouses. Some of these had frankly been around since the early 90s. And then every few years, we'd build another one and it would get, let's call it a third of the way there. And then, we'd build another one and we never really finished the job. And I think that's pretty common around a lot of the companies who we talk to, right? Is that you've got these different places where you've got to go and get data. And so the onus is really on you to know where it is and also know where the right version of it is, right? And so that was something that we were really looking to accomplish here was bring all of our data into one centralized location. It needed to be highly curated. So if I were to ask, say the three of you, right? Hey, can you produce this analytics output for me, right? It could be anything, right? What's the year-over-year growth or number of originations that we did last month? It's no good to me if each one of you comes up with a different answer, right? Because you're using a different piece of the data or the data from a different spot. And so having that data highly curated, really working closely with our business partners to understand where the right version of the truth was and make sure that we have self-service service so that our analysts can go out and they can search it and have a centralized data catalog to be able to do that has been extremely helpful for us because what we didn't want to do was build AI and ML on top of something that can just make bad decisions faster, right? It needed to be performant. Performance is absolutely critical to us, but one of the things that was a little bit more critical at the time was traceability. So obviously we are a highly regulated industry in finance, and so traceability, understanding every hop, every transformation that our data took, all the way from the source to the consumption layer, was very important, not only in guaranteeing the quality of our data, but also guaranteeing that our data is regulated and that what we're putting in our forms and things is absolutely accurate. But back to performance, one of the things that was a goal for us was to break the chains and limitations of on-prem. So our target data warehouse is in Snowflake, and that has allowed us to take advantage of both horizontal and vertical scaling. What does that mean for us? Well, so we have our analysts, and I'm sure most of you do as well. And if you're running a query on a huge data set, or maybe your query is really just not written that well, right? You have the ability to kind of slow things down for all the other analysts who are on that platform while you are running your query. But what Snowflake offered us was individual warehouses for each one of our analysts to be able to participate in. And that's also scalable in and of itself, all the way from small to extra large. So depending on what you're trying to run, or maybe it's the speed that you want to run it, you're able to set the size of your warehouse. And while you're running in that warehouse, you're not going to impact the other analysts, right? That was extremely important for us because what we wanted to do was drive efficiency and get the right answers faster. And that became a pretty key piece of this. So it really comes down to that elasticity. And you might say, well, hey, our on-prem solution's elastic too, right? Sure, right? We wanted to break away from that kind of VM host model because really on-prem, we were elastic up to what the host could do. So if your host had 100 cores, right? And you needed 105 cores, you're kind of out of luck, or you've got to come out of pocket for an entirely new host. And that can be extremely expensive, right? So we wanted to be able to scale as much as our strategy allows us to and be able to really grow into both our data footprint and our strategy. So hosting Snowflake on AWS gave us all of those things that we were looking for there. Next, we had to get data governance right. And this was something that we felt like we needed to do very early on in the process for a couple of reasons. Trust in our data is absolutely paramount. If you don't trust the data, you're not going to trust your outcomes, and then you're not going to trust your decisions, and then you're probably going to go back to whatever it was that you were doing before, whether that was better or not. Perception is everything. And so we really needed to be able to guarantee absolutely trustworthy data. Going back to putting AI and ML on it, right? You're just going to end up making the bad decision faster, right? We certainly didn't want that. So that took a lot of work, rewriting so many of our policies, our data governance policies, working those through all of the proper channels for approval, making sure that they were up to date, right? Things have changed a lot in the last year, and things have changed a lot in the last 2 years, in the last 3 years. And some of these things don't get touched all that frequently. So really going back in there, doing the hard work, rewriting these things, and making sure that they were also forward-facing was extremally important. Data stewardship was another area where we put a tremendous focus. This is a people thing, right? So data stewards at Ally sit mostly within the business because that's where folks really understand the data, right? And they understand what it means to them. But there was a lot of roles and responsibilities that go along with being a data steward, right? You're really guaranteeing that a lot of the metadata and a lot of the descriptions and things like that are actually correct, right? And that is that one version of the truth that you need. And so it takes a lot of time for people to do that, right? And just like all of the other companies in the world, right, we didn't have a tremendous amount of budget focused on that. And so this is something that they needed to have time to add in, learn, develop their own talent to be able to succeed in this. So starting early on that was something that we found to be very, very good for us. Data quality, right? Really making sure that we have quality data being delivered. So instrumenting that, making sure that we have the proper reconciliations out there in the recon jobs, making sure that when we do have an anomaly, that we have the right monitoring and alerting in place. It can get really noisy. You're moving a ton of data over there, right? And so taking the time to figure out what is critical, right? What do we really care about if it's not right? So that we minimize the amount of noise in the system and that we're really able to go focus on fixing the things that matter to the business. That was another thing around data quality that we learned and that we found to be pretty good. We talked about lineage, right? Knowing every hop that it takes, really having that documented, right? Not in an Excel, we did that, right? That was the old way of what we did, but having a centralized lineage repository and tool so that you're capturing that and you can show it to anybody if they ever question the data. None of that can really be an afterthought. And so that was a lot of things that we really kind of built in from the beginning, because at the end, we truly wanted to unleash data for Ally, not just for our customers and not just for if you go on the website, you're gonna see something cool, but for every one of our associates. We wanted to unleash the power of data to make them more efficient, to allow them to do their job better and really focus their energy on the strategic things that make them who they are. And so by doing this, we felt like all these steps were going to lead us to a place where we could do that. And we'll talk a little bit about how that's going. So our enterprise platforms we talked about, right? We have Snowflake, we have our Elation, we have our Manta, we've got a ton of different things, Calibra that we use. Those are all in place. Everything is stood up, and this year we're really looking to finish the job and migrate the rest of our data, migrate our people, migrate our processes, and really truly move over to this target state system. With that will also come decommissioning of the old systems, and I'll be honest with you, that is a day that I am very much looking forward to. Moving over to talent development, I've been hearing a lot lately on this, and we talk about like 90% of people have an interest in learning about AI and ML, right? I think that's why we're all here, right? But only about 5% of companies are taking the time to really train their people on these new tools and these new processes. And that's something that I'm personally proud of it, and I'm proud of Ally for doing this, that we have really focused on training all of our people. And we're in fact going to be rolling out training to all 11,000 of our associates on AI and ML, just to make sure that people are really thinking about it. Moving over to our integration and consumption, none of this is worth anything unless the business is able to consume it, right? So really migrating to more modern BI platforms so that they can see the data, visualize the data, use the data, drill down into the data, really help it drive those insights that they're looking for that they might not have been able to before. I'd skip down to like self-service, right? That's another thing that was important for us. We didn't want to be a bottleneck in technology, right? We didn't want you to have to fill out 14 different forms to go be able to do your job as an analyst, right? We really wanted to be able to open up self-service for you so that you can come in and do your work and see the data and search the data and kind of feel things out. So that was another piece that we were able to implement there in our integration and consumption. And it all leads to outcomes. So business and consumer insights. One of the stalwarts of our business at Ally is our auto and insurance businesses. And so the way that works is our customers are actually dealers. And so when we have an account executive who's going to go talk to a dealer about how to grow their business or give them some insights, then we wanted them to have like the freshest data available, right? It's what's going to help them have a meaningful conversation with the dealer. And frankly, it's going to look better for us, right? If you're coming in with data from 2 days ago and things have changed, it makes it look like we really don't know our business either. And so making sure that we give all of our associates the power to have that data to drive their conversations more effectively is something that we found is a good outcome that's already showing fruit. And then I would say operational efficiency is the other one I would call out here. A lot of companies, us included, see our revenue going up, right? And your revenue goes up, and that's certainly what you want. But you also have your operational expense. And if that's constantly going up at the exact same rate or close to it as your revenue, then that's not really optimal, right? Because it's not going to be great for your shareholders. It's not great for the value of the company. And if you have to scale every time that you launch a new product, it's simply not efficient. And so one of the things that we are looking to drive is kind of a leveling off of that OpEx, right? Getting our people more efficient, getting those things off their books that they don't want to focus on, right? Making sure that they're focused on the strategic stuff so that our revenue can continue to grow as we launch new products and services, but our operational expense starts to level off. So 4 pillars here. when we talk about where we're going from here. So one of them is enabling, and again, it really starts with talent development. So let's finish the job, migrate the data, the people, the processes. Let's continue to train our people. Let's make sure that we're rolling out, proper talent development to all of our folks and really giving them the enablement tools to be able to take advantage of all this cool stuff that we're building. Standardization, this isn't one that we talk about every day, but it is something that we found was very important. So standardizing things like your consumption patterns, standardizing access, right? Your roles and how those are granted, standardizing our governance, right? These are things, not just that, but standardizing also our approaches to data engineering, right? The tool sets that we use. It helps us to be more fungible among our squads so that folks can kind of, really focus on one thing and get that over the finish line or move around to focus on whatever they need to. But the other area that this is gonna help us with is when we turn this over, right, into a support model. Having a sustain group or production support team having to figure out, well, this is broken now, but it's written like this, and so we've got to call this person or this person, is not going to be something that's maintainable, right? And so standardizing our approaches allows them to also standardize their skill sets and their approach to maintaining this and keeping it very resilient. Optimization is something that we will do continually for probably the rest of our lives. So there's a couple of aspects to this that I would point out. One is performance analytics, developing our dashboards to be able to really tell how the system is performing. Are we getting degradation? Is there something that we can get ahead of before it impacts our business, right? And having that instrumentation in place is something that we're already seeing a lot of value in. Cost. Same thing, right? Making sure that we're really paying attention to the cost. People ask a lot of times, well, how much money are we going to save by going to the cloud, right? Well, the honest answer is you might not really save any money, right? It may actually be more expensive, but the performance and the benefits that you get from living in the cloud should more than offset that cost. But it can also get extremely expensive extremely quickly if you don't have your eyes on it. And so our teams have developed extensive dashboards around this to monitor our costs continually. We really have eyes on glass. We really talk about it very frequently just to make sure that we are spending our money as prudently as possible. And then self-service access to resources is the other one. We kind of talked about that, right? Really not being in the way from a technology standpoint, making sure that our analysts and our business is empowered to leverage the data to their full effect. And then unleashing, right? This really is changing the entire landscape of Ally and how we do business. And it really, I think, goes back to that talent development by rolling it out to everyone, right? And having everybody start to develop that data mindset. People will start looking at their job and say, hey, there's this thing that I really don't like doing. And I spend about an hour on it every week. Well, I could probably use this thing to make that better and maybe get that off of my plate. Well, if you're spending an hour every week, chances are there's a lot of other people in your organization spending an hour every week on it. A, it doesn't make you happy, so getting it off your plate is going to make you a more happy person at your job. And number two, it's going to make you more efficient, right? And so by doing that talent development and getting that data mindset for everybody, we're really hoping that unleashes that capacity for every single one of our associates. So as you can imagine, we are fairly far down the journey here, and there have been some lessons learned. Our motto is do it right. I think we've done a lot of things right. There's been some areas where we'd probably take a mulligan, but I think for the most part, we've really done a good job. So I wanted to go over a few of those with you. The first one is support. So thinking about support in terms of really developing that ecosystem of data culture with executive alignment, board, CIO level, management, everybody being on the same page that this is something that is really important for our company and unifying on that mission, right? Having that top-down view helps tremendously because most businesses are going to have their own priorities, right? They're going to have their own things that measure success for them. But having it be across the entire company allows everybody to break down those silos and really come together to deliver. I'd say starting at the right side of the page, right? Really understanding what it is that you want to do and why. has been something that's been very important to us. There are so many shiny objects getting released every single day, right? You turn on a podcast, everything is new. You feel like you're on a ski boat, you're basically halfway strapped in and you're just trying to keep up. And it's really hard not to go pluck these cool things out of the air and just go put them in place, right? But really by having that understanding of your strategy and what it is that you want to do, you can pluck those things and make sure that they actually align, right? So that you're staying on course, because otherwise it's going to be very difficult for us to actually finish this job. Perfect versus good. I would say don't let them be enemies, right? There's been times during this journey where we've had debates, right? Maybe the domain model is not as efficient as we would like it to be, or maybe there's some things that the business would really like for us to take up. Do we do that on-prem? Do we do that in the cloud? Do we do it in both places and do the change twice? Sometimes, thinking about things like, hey, let's just lift and shift it. Let's get it over into the strategic platform. And from there, we can really take our time and make it right and do it just one time, right? So that's been something that's helped us kind of keep our eyes on that. Back to transforming your talent. Like one of the things that we did that I'm very thankful that we did was we carved out actual sprint time for our associates to learn all of these new technologies. None of us can keep up with everything, right? It's too much. And if you try to do that, at night after you've worked a hard day, it's even harder, right? Or on the weekends when you want to be there with your family. So we've actually carved out a percentage of our sprint time and we dedicate that and we stick to it for our associates to take that time and learn and upskill. And that helps them. It helps them to become more comfortable. And it also helps us in terms of our throughput going forward. Automate, automate, automate. I say it 3 times. It's that important. Anything. Connection string updates. If you're migrating from a legacy data warehouse, automate it, right? DevSecOps, automate it. Automate the checks, right? Automate the checks on data quality. Anything that you can is going to pay major dividends. That's one of the things that we found, right? It's hard to find enough people to do this stuff sometimes. And so anything that you can do to make folks more efficient is really something that's helped us to accelerate towards our strategy. And then lastly, choose wisely, right? Taking a broad look at where we wanted to go, right? Starting with our strategy, understanding what we wanted to deliver, why we wanted to deliver it, allowed us to assess the tools that we use with a really broad brush, right? So that we weren't just trying to solve for this one thing, we were really trying to solve for this thing. And so that's caused a lot less churn in our ecosystem, even as new tools have rolled out, right? We've really been able to stick with the core set of tools that we've done. Platforms, I would say it's exactly the same thing, right? We've made very good choices on our platforms. We knew where we wanted to go. We had the end in mind, and we were able to deliver there. And then partners, right? As you go across this journey, or at least as we have, there's been times when we've needed, different skill sets, or maybe we've needed a whole team drop shipped in, or more than one team, multiple teams, or maybe we've needed individual staff augmentation for certain skills. Having partners who can deliver those types of things throughout your journey allows you to be elastic also in your workforce, right? And it can allow you to continue along your goals and make sure that you're achieving them. And so, with that, I would say, one of our partners is obviously Impetus, and we appreciate that partnership very, very much. And I'd like to actually turn it over to Prashant to talk a little bit more about our partnership and what we've been working on.
All right, thank you, everyone. I'm Prashant Jain, Senior Director of Engineering at Impetus. So first of all, I would like to thank Derek, for the trust and confidence that he has in our collaboration. It's really a big deal for us, and I'm very excited about the opportunities that lie ahead for our partnership. So first, I want to talk about this relationship between Impetus and Ally. I think Impetus team is being led by, right now, some of the very seasoned and very dedicated architects at Ally. And they're collaborating with some of the brilliant minds at Ally to really deliver some of the innovative solutions. And this combined force has really played a very pivotal role in instrumenting successes across multiple platforms, be it Snowflake or SAS or Hadoop or Oracle, the enterprise data analytics platform. And I think one of the things that I want to talk about is that I think this was our partnership with Ally, and this joint team was one of the first teams to enable the real-time data analytics for the decision-making for process across multiple line of businesses. I think apart from enabling the real-time data analytics, some of the recent collaborations that I want to talk about is this RPA-based process automation for converting the the code within the ETL processes. It really handles some of the complex SQL syntaxes and the compatibility between Snowflake and Oracle. Similarly, the other initiative that I want to talk about is the enterprise-grade data quality and reconciliation framework, which is now at place, and it is helping have the right place, right amount of data at the right place for the right consumption. For my teams at Impetus, Ally projects are not just a partnership. It's really a very passionate journey towards the innovation and accomplishing the mission. So I think in past 3 years or so, Impetus team have made remarkable impact, both as team roles and team members role. And in my stakeholder engagement reviews, I always hear very positive feedback about them. And Impetus brings strong experience in the data engineering side, a wealth of cloud experience, and not just that, not just the technology abilities, but the responsiveness and the positive attitude towards getting the job done. I believe one of the sticky points for this relationship is the cultural alignment between the Ally and Impetus, and this has been really the cornerstone of our success story. The transformative impact that our teams are doing, it extends beyond delivering the solutions. It resonates with the positive perception that we have cultivated and showcasing in our everyday collaboration with Ally. So I'll talk a little bit about our services portfolio. I think we started our big data platform engineering, cloud engineering capabilities much ahead of time, and acquired maturity in modernizing, building large-scale petabyte data lakes with thousands of sources, ingesting the data on a daily basis with a great degree of reliability. And so I think in the data engineering space, we are working for last 10 years and more than 8 to 10 years in the cloud space. And I think our services offering reflects the expertise in architectural consulting and application modernization, making the application run natively on cloud. And not only that we have built the data lakes and data warehouses, we have helped leverage these data platforms to kind of enable the data and analytics as services. Also, the platforms that we have built, we are ensuring the necessary cost engineering to run them efficiently and reliable. I think all along this data analytics, data and cloud journey, I think one of the key elements is the product mindset that Impetus team bring. And this has been really very instrumental in making sure that these platforms are performant even at very large scale of data. One of the environment that I want to talk about is this data lake and data analytics platform, which is operating for one of our largest customer. We are daily running through hundreds of use cases through 7 petabytes of data size. So I think that's all I had for today. Thank you, everyone. I would like to invite Mohan again.
Thank you. Thank you, Prashant. Thank you, Derek, for the insightful session. I'm sure it will help a lot of enterprises achieve their goals of modernization.